morning, everyone. It's so good to be back with you. I've had a very busy summer with guests and family, and it's been wonderful to see people I haven't seen in just almost 2 years. My name is Gretchen Vogel. All my material is taken from meditations or channeling that I've done for years and years. So thank you for coming to play with these ideas today. Um, I wasn't planning to do a series on grief. And if you follow tarot card readers, sometimes cards flip out. Well, this meditation from 2009, I was looking for something else, and it just sort of flipped out, came out. So, and what's really neat is I had tried to do this meditation. I had tried to do this video the other day, a few days ago, and our internet is so bad, it kept blinking on and off, so it wasn't possible. Anyway, as I left and I said, okay, whatever, I went downstairs and I'm like thinking about it. And it's like, oh my God, I understand this now. I understand what they're saying. So I think this first one is quite unique. It's on emotions in general and grief specifically. And I am listening to some prompts from the meditation that I've recorded because I really want to make this work. All right. So let's get started with grief. Grief is one of the major emotions that humans feel. It's a primary human emotion. We think of grief as a combination of different emotions, but no matter how it is experienced, it can be identified as one of the major human emotions. And grief is, we don't really want to feel grief. We don't think it's extraordinary to feel happy or sad or tired when we're down, or any of the, or even depression. But for some reason, grief is isolated as an emotional category. Excuse me, it's like the most avoided emotion to feel. We would rather feel anger, fear, any of the stages of grief rather than feel grief. So why is grief so unique as an emotion? Well, one of the reasons is that other people don't know how to react to someone who is in grief, and I include myself in that. I mean, we bumble around, we really don't know what to say. We might avoid somebody who's in grief, which isolates them farther. As a society, we don't understand what the function of grief is. Grief is healing from a loss. It's that simple. It is a journey that has many twists, many levels, very particular to each individual. The way we grieve has many different phases. No one feels grief the same. No one expresses grief the same way. Now, grief never stops in life, and it never goes away because of our temporal lineal experience here. For example, somebody who loses physical function has to manage grieving what they have lost. I've lost a lot of function in the last 2 years, and I manage my grief over what I can't do anymore by being grateful for every tiny little thing that I still can do. So let's drill into grief as an emotion. Now, emotions are linked to the physical body. Our body produces the emotional energy. How cool is this? This emotional energy is then recognized by the mind at some point, and then it is expressed. But it starts in the body. Okay, this was like mind-blowing to me. And grief is possible in animals because they have endocrine systems also. You know, we had a dog who never connected with another dog. She was always sad. She was distant from us after she lost her brother. You know, she lived another 7 or 8 years without him. I'm sure she learned to live without him, but it was so sad to see her so sad. So, of course, it originates in the body. Now, everyone grieves in their own time also. And this is related to the physical aspects of grief. Now, grief can be shelved or put off indefinitely. Now, for example, when people don't acknowledge their fear, let's take a simple example. If you have a car accident, and if we don't acknowledge that at that moment we were very fearful, we would have post-traumatic anxiety because we didn't express the fear soon after the accident. My husband only learned to grieve later in life because his emotions were way too much for him to bear. He didn't want to go into the emotional state in his mind that would have released the emotions that were stored in their body. And this is part of us healing and becoming very aware in life, is to be open to our grief. Unfelt emotions causes a chemical backup in the body. If the corresponding emotions cannot be felt at the time of the accident, illness, loss, there's a backup of chemical identifiers in the body, and they will always be there until they're acknowledged and expressed. This is what a lot of post-traumatic stress is, are these backlog of these chemicals. Now, everybody's endocrine system is different. Some people produce more emotion than others. Some people may seem cold, or they could be actually suppressing their emotions, or they don't produce as much of the chemical markers produced by the endocrine system. But everybody's physical body has a different capacity to produce emotional energy. So, for example, one person could have the gift of producing the endocrinology of happiness, and another person's body, whether it's genetic, diet, or their early history, early wounding, would have the endocrinology to produce more depression or fear or anxiety. So the person whose body produces the endocrinology for happiness feels more happiness, and the person that produces other endocrinology feels different emotions. So in either case, the people who feel either happiness or anxiety or depression could, or grief, could dampen down these emotions. So emotions are always a dance between the cognizant mind and the body. Now, there are certain organs that are more sensitive to these chemicals that come from the endocrine system. The reason the heart is thought to be the center of emotion is because lack of love weakens the heart. Many negative emotions weaken the heart. Fear tends to affect other systems. Fear will produce substances that clog arteries or perhaps prevent the cleansing functioning of the body, whether it's kidney or liver. Fear, as we know, produces changes in the stomach and immune system. So it's predominantly the organs that are affected by the unresolved, unassimilated, unexpressed emotion. So we do need to process and externalize our emotions. We can think of this as getting them out of our body. So we need to do this in a safe for ourselves and for other people's way. So this made me think a lot of what these cleanses like sweat lodges, Epsom salt baths, being out in nature, they're very safe ways or places where we can cry to let the emotions rise out of our physical body into our mind and experience them as emotion. And I'm going to stop this now because I think that's such a really big piece of grieving. And we're going to go on to other topics. So thank you very much for coming to visit me. Like, share, subscribe. I really never want to monetize my chapter. I'm kind of annoyed. I mean, my YouTube channel. I'm it takes patience to to do that. So um, I'll be right back on with the next installment.